said already that they've foiled 6 major attacks. So there'll be people at home thinking, well, why do they need this information? Because they seem to be doing a very good job at the moment already.
And I think that is the key point, that we become complacent as a society. We become complacent because nothing's happened. But actually what they're trying to say to us is, look, things are happening behind the surface. There are investigations going on which are they're finding very difficult to do because of the change in nature of the threat. The evolving threat is changing more or less onto line. You know, we do our shopping online now. We do, you know, who's policing the online stuff?
Bearing in mind that there's, as Holly was saying, that they've foiled 6 this year and they seem to want more and more access. The government is going to propose a new law, that UK spies are allowed to have access to whatever they like. So all the sort of internet companies or the email companies or whatever it works will keep hold of our internet history. So if we become a suspect, they can then go and search at the sites we've been looking for. What do you make of that?
Well, it's critical in so much, Ben, as they need to be able to look at the trail. This not only helps them intercept certain cells, but it also gets them to understand far better this whole radicalisation process. We're hearing more and more about how the government and various other groups are trying to work together to try and intercept that recruitment online of getting individuals to join them. Now, it's not to say that they'll be able to look at, you know, my cat pictures on Facebook, you know, or they're going to be interested in that. They only have a limited resource to look at certain individuals which are persons of interest.
But I think what they're suggesting is they should be able to have carte blanche to look at anybody they choose to, rather than specifically identify individuals and then search their internet history.
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, there will be oversight and there will be transparency, but at the moment they need to get, obviously, the request from the Home Secretary to look at certain accounts and to enforce the social media to reveal that information. So, because these operations can run so quickly, they need to be able to have that streamline or that fast track to get to that information.
We've got a comment here from Vicky. She says, I think the only thing the public can do is to be vigilant and live our lives doing what we have been doing for years. But you say there are things you can do. There are things you can do as an individual to stay safe.
Yeah, but Vicky's absolutely right, because the whole point of terrorism is to change what we do. The worst thing that we can do is go and lock down our society and do things completely differently. But we can be vigilant. We can actually report things that we see that are suspicious. And actually, one of the things that you want businesses to do is actually think about the what-ifs. What if this did happen? What if we did have a major incident in London? How would we cope? And things like that. And you can take that from right up in the business level, right down to the individual.
With that in mind, Will, is it inevitable? Is it inevitable that there will be a terrorist attack at some point on a major city in the UK?
Regrettably, Ben, I think it is. And the security services only have a finite amount of resource to try and intercept. They've mentioned 6 particular major incidents that they've thwarted, and those are only 6 major ones. I'm sure there are plenty more which they haven't revealed or disclosed. So, regrettably, unfortunately, in the climate that we're operating in right now, and there's no foreseeable end to it, as we can see at this current time, I think something will happen. And unfortunately, without wishing to be too pessimistic, it's not a question of if, it's only a question of when.
There you go. So, I mean, the calls that we're getting of no problem letting the security services read my emails and listen to my calls. I've got nothing to hide, and if it makes it safer, that's got to be good. That's from Claire.
And Louise says, terrorist threats have been going on for years. I hope MI5 and the government protect us.
The worry is, Andrew Parker says they can't spot everything.
No, absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right then, still to come during an interview on Good Morning Britain yesterday.